Hey everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to build a RAG application using AWS Bedrock. In AWS, a RAG application is also known as knowledge base. Before we start, let's see why we may need a RAG application. So for that, I'm going to Bedrock and I'm going to go to the playground. In playground, you can select different models and interact with these models. For example, I choose Amazon and a model called Nova Lite 1.0. Let's ask a question about a recent incident. For example, I'm going to ask who was the first pick at 2026 NFL draft. If you look at the Wikipedia page for 2026 NFL draft, the correct answer is a quarterback called Fernando Mendoza. But this model may not be able to answer this because this model was trained a couple of years ago. So let's see what it says. The first pick of 2026 NFL draft cannot be determined as of 2023. So the model is not able to answer the question. For this demo, we can build a RAG application and use this page as the data source. So before we dive in, let's look into how RAG applications work. The RAG applications are based on reference documents or knowledge bases. These documents, in our case, it's going to be just one document, this Wikipedia page. These documents are converted into vector representations, and for this we use something called embedding model. These are special LLM models that understands the meaning of text and creates a vector representation, and then these vectors are stored in a vector database. When a user asks a question using the same LLM, embedding LLM, the query is also converted to a vector, and we do a vector search in the vector database to find the best matching or vectors that are the most similar to this query vector, and the corresponding documents from these reference documents are sent back. The RAG application, it will combine this user query along with this context chunks or the chunks that we got from the vector search, and these are combined and these are sent to a general purpose text generation LLM. This LLM looks at the chunk of data and then it figures the answer to the question. This is how it works. So let's go back. So now let's get back to our AWS console. Right now I'm logged in as a root user. Root users are not able to create RAG applications or knowledge bases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to IAM and I'm going to users. Here I'm going to create a new user. Let's call it Bedrock user. I click on this for providing the console access. I wanted to generate a new password for this user. Since it's going to be myself using this username and password, I uncheck this option. And then we need to add permissions to this user. In this case, I'm going to add admin access to this user. In a real life scenario, you may want to add fine-grained permissions to this user. Everything looks good, so I create the user. It is also a good idea to add MFA to any user. So in this case, this is going to be a demo user, and I'm going to delete this user after this video recording. So I'm not going to add an MFA. Download this user's detail and I sign out. Now I'm going to sign back with the user's credential. I will see you after I log in. So now I'm logged back in as this user, Bedrock user. I go back to Bedrock. Actually, before that, I need to do a couple of things. So first, I need to download this page. For that, I'm going to print this and save it as a PDF file. And now I need to create an S3 bucket to upload this document. I have S3, so you can also search here S3, and you can go to buckets. And here I'm going to create a new bucket. So I'm going to use a general purpose global namespace, and this name has to be unique across all accounts. So let's choose something: Bedrock demo knowledge base version. Let's pick some number. Hopefully this one doesn't exist. Data source. Okay. I don't change anything else. I just choose a name for this bucket. So that looks good. It looks like that is available and it was created. Now I can upload the document. So I'm going to add files and go to downloads, and I upload this PDF document. Okay, so that's successful. So I have the data source in an S3 bucket. So in this case, it's just one file, so but you can have multiple files, and you can have different types of files. You can have text, PDF, all different kind of files. And now I can go to Bedrock again. And this time I'm going to go to build and knowledge base. And here we are going to build a new knowledge base. So I'm going to choose self-managed knowledge base, unstructured. Since we are working with the text, this would make sense. So we can pick a name for this knowledge base. It's going to create a new service role for this. Next, we need to choose the data source. In our case, it's going to be S3, so we are good. You can optionally add tags. You can also add logging information. So I'm not going to choose those right now. Next, I need to tell where the source is. So the data source has a name, and now I need to choose the bucket name. So in this case, it's Bedrock demo, this one. The next thing is a parser. Since our source file is a PDF, we are going to use this parser. We are going to use the default chunking strategy. In chunking, what we are going to do is we are going to, instead of taking the whole document as one piece, we are going to piece them into smaller chunks and then create or embed vectors based on each chunk. There are different kinds of chunking strategy. I won't go into the details here since this is a basic demo. I'm going to use the default chunking. You can also have a lambda function for some kind of transformation. For example, if you want to add some metadata, you can do that. I'm not going to do that either. Next, as we mentioned earlier, we need an embedding model to convert the chunks of documents into their vector representations. We are going to choose Titan text embedding. That's one model provided by Amazon. There are some additional configurations. We are not going to make any changes. Next, the vector store. Once the vectors are created, we need to store them. For that, we are going to create a new vector store. For this, we are going to use a store called OpenSearch serverless. The nice thing is Amazon is going to create everything for us, or Bedrock is going to create everything for us. Next, you are ready to review it. Everything is looking good. we can click the create knowledge base button here. This is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause and come back when this is ready. So it took about 4 to 5 minutes, but the knowledge base is ready. You can see this banner saying that OpenSearch serverless vector database is ready and knowledge base created successfully. Sync one or more data sources to index your content for searching. This means that even though the knowledge base and the vector stores are built, the data is not synced, meaning the data isn't converted to vector embeddings and stored in the database. For that, what we are going to do, click the data source and click sync. Now I see it says that syncing has started, and depending on the data source, it may take a few minutes to many hours. So if you have really long documents or a number of documents, then it may take longer. Since this is a small file, it's just one Wikipedia article, this is not going to take much long. But again, I'm going to pause and come back. Okay, so it looks like it is also done. It says that sync is completed. Now everything is ready, so you can see it is very simple. You don't have to know all the details to build a very basic RAG application. And with this, now we can test it. Let's click the test button, and now we can test it. Before we test, we need to select a model for the generation. So this is going to be the LLM for generation. Remember, when we started, we choose this model, a Nova Lite 1.0. So I'm going to choose the same model and see if the model is able to answer the question. Now the difference is going to be that when we ask the question to the model, the RAG system, it's going to do the vector search, and then it's going to find the relevant documents and then send it along with our query to this model. The model is going to look at the document and it's going to answer the question. This time the model is able to answer it's a Fernando Mendoza, the correct answer based on this document. So I hope you were able to get an idea of what knowledge base or RAG application is and how easy it is to build it using AWS Bedrock. But before you go, we need to do some cleanup, otherwise we are going to get a bill from AWS. First, we click the knowledge base and then we can go and select the knowledge base and then mark it for deletion. Once we do that, we need to do one more thing. Remember, it created a vector database, so when we delete the knowledge base, the vector database is still running in the background. So, and that is going to cost a lot. Go to OpenSearch, and with OpenSearch there are different types of clusters. So one is managed and serverless. What we built was a serverless, so we can go to serverless and collections, and this is the collection that we created. And if you have multiple collection, you can look at the creation date timestamp, then you can mark it for deletion. Type confirm and it's going to delete. So, and then if you want, you can also go to S3 and delete the file and also the bucket, but that's not going to cost much, so I'm going to keep it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. Thank you.